Hi, we are going to discuss emotional intelligence from the video number 1 lecture where we left there. Now we will be discussing what are the qualities of people with emotional intelligence, how emotional intelligence is important in the workplace and administration. Then can we develop emotional intelligence? If we can develop emotional intelligence, then how? Then we will be discussing demerits of emotional intelligence, and then at the last we will be discussing about the linkage of the concept of emotional intelligence with other parts of the syllabus in our GS UPSC. So let us begin now. The first and the foremost thing we will be discussing qualities of people with emotional intelligence. So what are the quality of people with emotional intelligence? Let me just brush up the concept of emotional intelligence for a while. I had told you people that emotional intelligence is a bundle of 5 concepts, and those 5 concepts are self-awareness, and then self-regulation, then internal motivation, and then empathy, and then social skills. So you people will see that most of the qualities of the people with high emotional intelligence will be revolving about all these basic points only. So one of the qualities with emotionally intelligent people are they are consistent. They are consistent in their thought, behavior and actions. They are not people like sometimes they are going to this high in their behavior and all, and next moment they are coming this high. No, their range of fluctuation will be very less, very less. See for example MS Dhoni, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He is also called a Captain Cool. You see most of the time his behavior, he will not be extremely happy at one moment and extremely low at the next moment. His response will be measured, his response will be balanced, his response will be within a small range of fluctuations. But if you see on the other hand person like Virat Kohli, which seemingly is low on emotional intelligence as compared to MS Dhoni, you will see he will be becoming sometimes very happy, then he will be very aggressive, then sometimes he will be very cool and all. So his range of emotional fluctuations is more. So person with emotional intelligence people are consistent. And when you are consistent in your thought, behavior, in your actions, in your approach, then you are a reliable person. You are a reliable person. People know in what way you might be responding. People know that okay, they may not know what exact will be your response, but they know that if you are a calm person, you will not be very angry. If you are a cool, joyous person, if you love being happy and all, then you will not be very unhappy. So your behavior will be within this range only. It will not be going this high, neither it will be coming this low. So you will be reliable. Once you are consistent and reliable, you will be acting with integrity. Now let me briefly extend the concept of integrity. What is the integrity in ethics? Integrity is consistent application of honesty. Honesty is morally upright and truthful nature of your behavior. So once a person is a person of integrity, he will be following honesty consistently, means he will be following a person of integrity. He will be following honesty, means morally upright conduct across the people, time and place. So even if you are poor person or rich person, if a bureaucrat is on higher side of emotional intelligence, irrespective of who you are, he will behave well with you. So it is his behavioral integrity. He is consistent in his behavior. He will be consistent in behavior across the time. It's not that we see many people, when we meet them for the first time, they are like very warm to us, but the moment our relationship goes deeper as the time passes, that warmness is gone. So a man of integrity will maintain that warmth for a longer duration of time in his relationship. Then also place, means he will not be a person of integrity say only in his household or say only in his office. A man of integrity will follow his principles wherever he would be, in the household, in the office, within the friends group, or wherever he will be following those principles. Then what are the other characteristics of people with emotional intelligence? They will be very good communicator. Their communication skill will be very high. Why skill will be very high? Because they know what is going on in their mind, self-awareness. They will know how to control their emotions. Suppose I am angry today. Suppose I shout at my subordinate. Maybe subordinate, owing to my higher position, may not react negatively to me, but over a period of time, he will feel that I am a misbehaving guy. I often misbehave with him, so my communication with him will be affected. But if I am a guy with high emotional intelligence, I will maintain the decorum of the interaction, and our communication will be healthy. So my communication skill will be better. Also, I will be communicating according to the feelings and of other people, as empathy says that I understand the feeling of other people. In the same way, my social skill will be good, and for social skill communication is the key. So a person with high emotional intelligence has good communication skills. Then his leadership will be very much appreciated. For example, see the case of MS Dhoni. See the case of Saurav Ganguly also. They are people of high emotional intelligence, so they have been a very successful leader, and for any successful leader, the emotional intelligence need to be high only, otherwise you cannot be a successful leader. Then for an emotionally intelligent people, teamwork will be better. He will be a good team person. He can manage a team well, and he can work well within a team, because a team consists of different person. Different person come from different educational, economic, social, emotional, intellectual background. So as a team, you have to work according to what others are. Means your empathy skill need to be high, your social skill need to be high. You need to understand the emotion of other people. Then only you can work as a team. Then work culture or work ethics of the emotional people, wherever they are, it will be good. Emotionally intelligent people, they appreciate negative feedback. Like in administration, it is very genuine and very much normal that all the people will not be happy with the delivery of goods and services by the government all the time. So if someone is coming with complaint, negative feedback means complaint and all, complaint and grievance. So if someone is coming with complaint or grievance, he will be appreciating the negative feedback. Then he will be person who will be encouraging others. He will be encouraging others because his empathy will be high. So he knows how to behave according to what other people are feeling. Then apart from all these, he will be his response will be measured or balanced. Means he will not be carried away by the situation, by the person, or by the tension, or by any other things. He will maintain his cool, calm and composure, and he will respond in a very, very balanced way. Then he will do constructive criticism. What constructive criticism is? Constructive criticism is not only criticizing, but also it is not only criticizing, but besides criticism, you are also giving solution. Suppose there is a newly appointed person, he joins his works, but he is not very good at doing his work in the initial days of his appointment. So what happens as a boss, the boss, if he is high on emotional intelligence, he will be not only criticizing his work, he will be providing solution also, how to do it, how he can do better. If he feels the employee needs some training, if he thinks that employee needs some more time to be spent, if he thinks employee needs some more freedom in his decision making and choice and action and all, then he will be giving those solution also to that guy. So constructive criticism is not only criticism, it is also providing solution. Then this guy will be having patience, and he can delay his gratifications. For example, this characteristic is very pertinent to UPSC aspirants. That's why all this emotional intelligence and ethics has become part of the UPSC Civil Services mains paper. Because in UPSC you need patience, because this is a 3-stage exam, one of the toughest exam of the country and one of the most uncertain as well. So you are not sure about the result. Sometimes you are good at GS paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4 of the GS, and you are good at essay, but you may not be good at the optional. So maybe next attempt you need to work on the optional before you can receive the result. Maybe sometimes you give interview and in very next attempt of the interview you also fail the prelims. So it is very, like, you will be requiring patience a lot of time. People will be saying something, your colleagues will be saying something, you personally will be feeling something, but then again you have to be motivated, because I told you internal motivation is also a very important indicator of emotional intelligence. So you have to be motivated, you have to be a person with patience, then only you can be emotionally intelligent. So these were all the qualities of people with emotional intelligence. Now let us discuss how emotional intelligence will be helping at the workplace, or how emotional intelligence means application or use of emotional intelligence in administration. How on the workplace of a bureaucrat emotional intelligence will be helping him. So there are myriads of the ways in which emotional intelligence will be helping you at the workplace. For example, first of all, as I told you earlier also, teamwork. You have to work as a team, and how emotional intelligence will be helping in the teamwork? Communication with superior, subordinate and all the stakeholders. You need to communicate, then only it will work. For example, I take the case of land acquisition. For a successful land acquisition, you know how many stakeholders will be involved. First, the industry or the company or the factory or whoever wants that land, he is a stakeholder. Then political leaders will be a stakeholder. Political leaders will be from the Panchayati Raj, from the local bodies, from the MLA, from the MP side, from the National Council of Ministers, State Council of Ministers, all sorts of leaders may be involved in it. Then people themselves are also one of the stakeholders. Then the administration itself is a stakeholder. So you have to communicate with all the people, then only say land acquisition will be a successful process. Then what teamwork? Teamwork will be like appreciating everyone. Nowadays what happens that most of the time the boss are hungry to take the credit of the work of the subordinate. This spoils the work environment. Also, many a times we vent out our frustration, the seniors vent out their frustration on the subordinates, and they rather do not engage constructively with the subordinate. They will not be telling them how to improve, they will not be telling them alternatives, just they will vent out. So all these things will alienate people slowly. So an emotionally intelligent guy will be appreciating the role of each and every person in the organization. And then all these things will make work culture of the place very nice. So work culture will become very nice. You will love your office, you will love your work, you will love the people around, you will love the ambience there, you will love the communication, the chit chats and the exchanges that happens between the people in your office. So your office will not be a place which will terrify you, your office will be a place which will attract you, and this is the magic of emotional intelligence. Now for example, some practical instances I tell you where the emotional intelligence will be coming to use. For example, a bureaucrat is dealing with media. Suppose some rape has happened or for that matter suppose some riot has happened. At that time you need to address the media. Definitely media will be putting a tough question to you, and media will be putting a tough question, so you don't have to take the question personally onto you, because media is not questioning you as such, media is questioning the office, the chair which you are holding. So emotionally intelligent people will depersonalize criticism. Now just focus here somewhat. Depersonalized criticism, this depersonalization is very important. For example, I am a media person who is reaching you out for the rape issue. Suppose you are the SP of the city. So suppose SP of the city is Ashish Chauhan. Suppose he is the SP of the city. So he thinks that this media person is asking question to me. No, media person is asking the question to the SP of the city. So you have to depersonalize this criticism. You don't have to take this criticism personally onto you. This criticism is onto the office. Even if say suppose some Reena Singh was the SP, if Reena Singh was SP, then also media person will ask the same question. Then this Ashish Chauhan and Reena Singh, they don't have to take the criticism personally onto them. It is not the criticism of the SP, it is not the criticism of the office holder, it is criticism of the office. It is not you personally who is being criticized. So this is how we have to depersonalize from criticism and all. Then suppose you are as a bureaucrat, you are handling the person who has come with some grievance. So if some person is not satisfied with the goods and services and the information and any other thing provided by the government office, he will come for you for the grievance redressal. So at that point of time, he doesn't know whether you are XYZ, what is your attitude and all. He is complaining against the office. So you have to take the complaint in that spirit and you have to listen him carefully, because being a good listener, besides being depersonalization from criticism, is also one of the criteria of one of the characteristic of the person with high emotional intelligence. So you have to listen to this person carefully. And I tell you one more thing, in democracy, it is everyone's right to criticize the government, to criticize the services and all within a particular limit. So if the person is within that limit and all, he is well within his rights to express himself under the article 19 and all, article 21. So you have to take the grievances very positively. You don't have to take him as the enemy of the system. He is very much a part of the system and he himself makes the system. So you have to take those grievances very positively. Then suppose you as a bureaucrat is visiting some site of accident. Then at that time you have to keep your emotions under regulation, because some very disturbing scene would be present at the site of accident. Many people would be injured, many people would have died, they would have lost their near and dear ones. So everywhere there will be emotional turmoil. You being the leader at that place and discharging your role as a bureaucrat have to maintain the cool, calm composure. You have to lead people by example. You should not also be drown in the same kind of emotional flood. So you have to keep very stable yourself, very stable and very composed. So all this comes only with a strong emotional intelligence. Then another thing is work family balance. You will be seeing many of the bureaucrats criticize that they are not getting enough time for their family. They are so very busy with the work. They have very long working hour and the very tedious work. Their workload is so much blah 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 blah. And slowly they get cut off with their family. Better you call it work-life balance. They cut off with their family, they cut off with their friends, they cut off with their community. So you know one thing, a human is a social animal, as Aristotle has told, and work is just a very small part of the whole life. And if you are not able to manage or strike a balance between work and life, you will be suffering anxiety, depression, even suicidal tendency in the worst cases. So this will be taking a toll on your physical and mental health. So you have to keep a balance between the work and your personal life, and all this will come with emotional intelligence only. Then emotional intelligence also gives you, it is very important for our health and well-being. Health means both physical and mental health. If you are an emotionally sound person, you will not be thinking unnecessarily. You will be controlling your extreme and negative thinking. You will be very much motivated. You will have good social skills. So all these mental things gives you mental health. See, for example, we see our TV serials, daily soaps. In those TV serials and all, what are showing? See, I told you in the previous lecture also that emotions are like missiles. Emotions are like missiles. They are full of energy. If you use them positively for your constructive purpose, they are good. If you do not control them, they will be working negatively for your destructive purpose, and they will make your life hell. They will kill your mental life. You will not have mental peace. You will not have mental stability. You will always think that the whole world is conspiring against you. You will always feel that everyone else is just there to torture you, to trouble you and all. You will not share a positive relation with the world outside, the people outside and the others. So this mental well-being is very important element for our overall health and well-being, and this mental well-being has a lot of role to play with the emotional intelligence. And now with the mental well-being comes the physical well-being. Suppose all the times you are thinking negative, then your physical health like cardiovascular health, your heart attack problem, your anxiety problem, your depression problem, your digestion, and all these things will also be affecting you in the physical health thing. So emotions need to be controlled very urgently for all these benefits. So emotional intelligence is also very important for cooperation and coordination. What is cooperation and coordination? As we know, administration is a shared task. A lot of people all come together and they work together to achieve some common goal, individual goal as well as organizational goal. They all interact with each other, and the success of the work depends on how constructively, how positively, how intensely they engage with each other and all. So for example, we see that in India, in bureaucracy, red tapeism and all, files do not move easily. Why files do not move easily? Because there is no interdepartmental peer cooperation, interdepartmental cooperation, superior subordinate cooperation, interministerial cooperation, inter-regional cooperation. All these cooperations are missing, and a big reason is the emotional intelligence. Because people are just getting their ego in front of their work. The ego comes before the work. So this makes the work to take the back seat and ego to the front seat, and this drives us in the negative direction. So all these interdepartmental cooperation, coordination in the team, within the team, between the team and all is assured with the emotional intelligence only. And also emotional intelligence determines your interpersonal skill. See, I had told you social skills is a kind of interpersonal skill. See, for example, what is interpersonal skill? Suppose I am an officer, there is a colleague of me in my office. I tell you one more thing, all these human relations like family, friends, community, all these human relations are made up of small positive things. A small positive thing, a small positive gesture, a small positive interaction can make a lot of difference. See, for example, family member, suppose I am a bureaucrat, or suppose any bureaucrat, if he spends time with the family, if he remembers the marriage anniversary and important dates, if he stays with the family during celebration, festivals and all these things makes his family ties very strong. If you do not do all these things, if you do not strike a right balance between the work and the life, your family ties will be in trouble. In the same way, friendship, the friends also, these ties are also made up of very small things. So see, for example, suppose my colleagues birthday is there, and suppose I wish my colleague on his birthday on WhatsApp or SMS, and another alternative I call him personally. Just this a small gesture, calling someone personally on his birthday, will make a lot of difference in your positive relationship. So these are small things which comes only from emotional intelligence will make your interpersonal skills so very important. Then another benefit of emotional intelligence for bureaucrat is it will keep you motivated, and this motivation will increase your job performance and job satisfaction. See, for example, I told you one of the elements of emotional intelligence is internal motivation. So if you are a guy with emotional intelligence, you will be motivated, and as you know, the task of administration is somewhat tough. It is different from all other tasks. You need to interact with so many people, you need to coordinate so many work, you are surrounded by a lot of tasks, and you are surrounded with so many challenges all around. You have limited resource, people's expectations are increasing. So all these things will make you very much feel under pressure. And all these tasks, pressure and aspirations of people can be handled positively only when you are highly motivated. Once you are highly motivated and you handle this pressure and all properly, then of course your job performance will increase, and when your job performance is increasing, you will have better job satisfaction as well. So these are all the benefits of emotional intelligence. So now let us discuss the next topic. Can emotional intelligence be developed? And if emotional intelligence be developed, then how it can be developed? One more point you can write here under the application or use of emotional intelligence. Dealing with protesters. We are a democratic country with the constitution itself guaranteeing the source of the power, as our preamble reads out, we the people of India. So the ultimate power wielder in the country is not the president, not the prime minister, not the executive, legislature, judiciary or anyone. The ultimate power lies with the people and people themselves. So people are source of all the power, and people have been given the power to protest by Article 19, Article 21 and so many other articles. So this is the fundamental right of the people. So when some protesters are coming, you have to deal with protesters very positively. See, for example, I tell you the Sterlite protest case. The Sterlite protest case and the police firing. In this case, the police firing happened, I do not know, no one knows with whose fault it was. It was the police on the site who lost the restraint, or it was order from the above, whatsoever will be the background behind. But the thing is, police firing happened on the people who were protesting peacefully. Many people died, and this protest became a very big issue, so much so that Sterlite had to cancel the expansion of the project. So, with one small mistake, one moment emotional intelligence is off, it will have a lot of devastating effects. So emotional intelligence is so very important. It needs to be there to dealing with protesters peacefully. Rather, you see many examples wherein some officers in the protest side, they will be giving water to the protesting people. They will be, guiding the protesting people how to protest, how not to be violent and all. So dealing with protesters, and this protest and all is bound to come in the democracy. You cannot kill them. We are not some authoritarian country. We are not some monarchy, or we are not some communist country. So all these protests are very much a part of our political process. So they will keep coming. It is up to us how we deal with them, how constructively we deal with them. And the best thing is, protests are good also, because you as a bureaucrat and the public servant, you come to know what are the grievances of people, and then you can address those grievances accordingly. So these are some applications of emotional intelligence. Now next we are going to discuss, can emotional intelligence be developed, and if at all emotional intelligence can be developed, then how it can be developed. So first let us discuss, can emotional intelligence be developed? Can emotional intelligence be developed? So many people think that emotional intelligence can be developed. Some people may think emotional intelligence cannot be developed. But as far as the academic opinion is concerned, we have two school of thoughts. One school of thought says that emotional intelligence is innate or it is inborn. Means you are born with the emotional intelligence. So what is there genetically in you will be your emotional intelligence. The other school says that emotional intelligence can be developed. Means they say no, it is not that a person can only be born with emotional intelligence. They say with the outside intervention, we will call it favorable environment. They say that with favorable environment, emotional intelligence can be developed. So the current position is that emotional intelligence is largely inborn, but some emotional intelligence can be developed by providing favorable environment as well. So it is a synthesis of both the concept. See, for example, it is said that, suppose we say that some people are rude, we say that some people are very loving, very caring in their approach. So suppose seemingly someone is rude, but we see that maybe if he is rude, he can be made softer and a well-behaving guy to this limit. After that, maybe changes will not come to him. But it depends on a favorable environment. This much is the basic. This basic is given by this basic quality is inborn into him. But if we give the favorable environment, his rudeness can be reduced. Maybe he can be more loving, he can be more caring and all. So maybe how much environment he has been given, favorable environment, accordingly his rudeness can be reduced. But it is sure that above a limit he cannot be better one. In the same way, we can say that if someone is cool and calm, suppose MS Dhoni, you know that he will not be doing kind of aggressiveness beyond a level. So he will be behaving within that range only, depending on different circumstances. He will be minimum this cool and maximum he can be irritated up to this level. So it is like the environment determines the extent to which the innate or inborn potential will be developed. So this is the potential and this is the actual. So this was the potential and this will be the actual. So this much is the variation between what you are born with and how the environment shapes you. So this is very akin to the nature-nurture debate. In the nature-nurture debate, we talk about the same thing, that either our career traits and our behavioral things and all are provided by the nature, means by birth, or can it be changed with nurture, means by upbringing, by socialization, by external environment and all. So there are two schools of thoughts. This favorable environment is also the socialization process, how you are cultivated the skills and all. So we now discuss that can emotional intelligence be developed? Yes, it can be developed, but only within a range provided by the nature or by the genes or by our internal mental makeup. So we learned that emotional intelligence can be developed. Now next we will be learning how emotional intelligence can be developed. How emotional intelligence can be developed. Now let us discuss how emotional intelligence can be developed. See, for example, we take the case of children. Because children are someone newly born, totally fresh, their mental makeup is totally fresh, it is completely clean, plain. Whatever you write by way of socialization and external experiences and all, that will become written into his personality as an adult or as a fully grown member of our social system. So in children we can cultivate the emotional skills, say first by way of socialization. What is socialization? Socialization is the teaching of social norms, values and all to a children and make him from a biological being to a social being. Biological being to social being. This whole process is called socialization. And who all are the agents of socialization? There are very many: family, schools, media, peers, religion, political belief, political philosophy you say. So all these external factors shape one individual's philosophy. So with this philosophy, with the process of socialization, we can change the emotional intelligence element of individual children mental makeup. And whose role is the most important in this family? All these actors. But among all these actors which I just mentioned, the role of family is the most important. So family shall teach a small kid to cooperate with other, to share his things. So sharing nature will be developing. So sharing, you take just small example. I tell you, life is made up of small things only. Suppose there is a kid, very small kid, 2-year kid, 3 years kid say. Suppose he is playing with his toys, and his other suppose he is playing with his toys. Then his younger sibling, suppose there is 1.5 years old, a smaller sibling. If this younger sibling tries to take his toy, the natural reaction from this kid would be, do not take my toy, it is my toy. So maybe this kid will hurt this kid also. There comes the role of parents. Say for example, parents will say that beta, you have to share your things with your smaller kid. So from here only his nature, his genetic makeup was telling him not to share, but then the nurture element, the suggestion of the father that beta, you have to share the thing, comes into play, and this guy will start sharing the things. And when this habit of sharing is ingrained into the mind of this child, he will develop these elements. He will develop social skill, he will develop empathy, he will develop self-regulation, because his natural instinct was not to share the toy, but now after the father's intervention, his instinct is to share the toy. So he regulated his feelings. So self-regulation element came. So this way emotional intelligence will be raised. Suppose some other parents who are less on emotional intelligence element, if they say that okay, you need not to share, I will get him different toy. Then this small kid, when we say not to share and get him different toy, then since the childhood only, this small fellow, this kid will not be sharing his things, and then his emotional intelligence element will be very low here. So this is how emotional intelligence can be taught to the kids. Then we can teach the kid to, we can tell the kids to think from others' perspective. Like we can say our kids, suppose there is a small kid who go and hits, or he simply pushes the other small kid, and if a small kid falls down, if at that time one type of parent would be encouraging him, because he will be teaching competition, he will be teaching victory to his kid. But in the long term, if he learns the habit of pushing, he will be pushing and fighting with everyone, and his emotional intelligence will be very poor. The other kind of parent, when he is hitting or pushing other guy, will intervene there, and he will tell better, don't fight with others, love others, cooperate with others. Then this guy will develop different kind of positive emotional intelligence. He will develop the values of sharing, he will develop the values of caring, he will be developing the value of coexisting, he will be developing the value of tolerance. So he will be developing the values of self regulation. So all these things will make him emotionally more intelligent. So these are the main things how emotional intelligence can be developed in a kid. Now let us discuss how emotional intelligence can be developed in adults. In adults, emotional intelligence can be developed with the way of training. We can create a specialized courses, a specialized materials and all, and then we can develop emotional intelligence in an adult. And this is what UPSC is aiming through by incorporating emotional intelligence into the syllabus, because by the time you come for the UPSC preparation, your mental makeup is already crystallized. You come with a packed opinion, but then you are taught some emotional intelligence. So this is not very much like, it will not be radically changing the emotional makeup of the person, but it will change within a certain range, as we discussed just now, the nature nurture debate, that within a range only it can develop the things, but yes, it can make change, and this has been proven by some practical success stories. Some success stories are there. For example, in USA there are many companies, as well as in India some companies, they gave the training in the emotional intelligence element, and they saw that the emotional intelligence and the teamwork and all these things improved over a period of time. These companies, these organizations are US Air Force used it, US Navy used it, then Johnson and Johnson used it, then Motorola company used it. In India, HPCL used the training courses, training modules for emotional intelligence, and they saw the success. To some extent it does work. Another thing in the children, how we can develop emotional intelligence. In children, other way of developing emotional intelligence is by SEL. SEL stands for social and educational learning. Let me write here, social and educational learning. So under the SEL program, we create social setup wherein the child is induced to behave in an emotionally intelligent way. Then we create educational courses and all to develop emotional intelligence in a kid. So this SEL can also go in a long way in developing emotional intelligence. Now another way of developing emotional intelligence are different codes. What are the codes? Codes are the different do's and do nots about one's behavior. They are different kind of do's and means they encourage some kind of behavior, they encourage the good behavior, and they discourage the bad ones. So in this way also we can develop emotional intelligence. Suppose some good thing is being encouraged, which will make you emotionally more intelligent. Bad thing being discouraged will make you also emotionally more intelligent. So your desirable behavior is being brought out. See, for example, I debate somewhat deeper into this. Suppose examples of in the real administration, we are talking about code of ethics and code of conduct. Code of conduct is do's and do nots about a particular behavior. You have to do this, you have not to do this. See, for example, we are saying that the code of conduct of an organization reads that you have to behave with patience and talk politely to your client. Now suppose you are a new joinee, you join that organization. You were earlier a person who will get anger very easily, but now when the code of conduct will be enforced, slowly you will change your behavior and you will learn to talk politely with the client and observe patience while dealing with the clients. So your anger element will be taking the back seat it will be taking the back seat, and the patience and polite behavior will take the front seat, and this will drive your whole behavior in the positive direction. So this way quotes also help you deal with the emotional, develop the elements of emotional intelligence. In the other way also, this thing I don't know how you people take, but this is very pertinent as well. The religious and social code also teach emotional intelligence. See, for example, we lose some near and dear ones, as it is happening in COVID with the many families are losing their near and dear ones, and this is very painful experience. It may create emotional disbalance in you. Many people do suicide, many people go into depression, many people go into coma, many people do self-harm things, many people are not able to come out of that loss easily, many people are not able to forget the dead person. So all these things may have very negative impact on your emotion. So emotional intelligence will be, you will not be able to regulate your emotions, you will not be able to understand your emotions, you will not have internal motivation to live further and all. In that situation, religious and social codes come very handy. For example, religion will be telling you, we all human beings are mortal, we are born to die, so one or the other day he had to live. Maybe he left somewhat early, but anyways he had to live one or the other day. So all these religious and social code will help you maintain your emotional balance. You will not be fluctuating this much, your range of fluctuation will become this. So your emotional balance will be restored. So all these religious and social codes also teach you emotional intelligence. Now these are different instruments of teaching emotional intelligence, but apart from that, in our day-to-day life also we can do something which can promote emotional intelligence. Like we can learn to delay our anger. We can learn to delay our anger. Now this anger is becoming very important issue in UPSC. They are asking question in emotional intelligence and ethics paper frequently. Let me discuss something about anger. Anger is like a matchstick. It is like a matchstick. A matchstick has potential to burn the whole world. A matchstick has the potential to burn the whole world. It can make a lot of damage. But before it burns the whole world or it doesn't burn the whole world, one thing is sure, the moment matchstick comes into play, the moment matchstick comes into option, it will burn itself. Means suppose this is the matchstick, whether it will burn or not burn, it is not known. Whether this matchstick will burn the object A or B or C or not, it is not known. But one thing is so very clear that this matchstick will burn itself. Very first it will burn itself, then only it can burn others. So is the case with anger. Anger generally starts with foolishness and ends with repentance. So anger is like uncontrolled negative emotion. This uncontrolled negative emotion, whether it will harm other or not, but it will harm you for sure. How it will harm you? First of all, anger will kill your creative thinking. Then anger will kill your interpersonal relationship. We see, you might have also experienced, when you are angry you cannot think creatively. So creative thinking requires peaceful and a stable mind. Interpersonal relationship, suppose you might have seen in society also, if there is a guy who is always happy, cheerful, well behaved with others, he becomes loved one to everyone. But if some guy is always pessimistic, talking negative, jealousy and angry and all, then he will not be liked by people. People will shy away from him. So negative emotion, anger, destroys all these things. They will be destroying the work environment. They will be destroying the communication. They will be destroying the cooperation with other people. So negative feeling of emotion can harm you in the multiple ways. The other way of promoting the emotional intelligence is keeping others before you. This is the crux of ethics. This is the crux of ethics. You behave ethically only when you feel about others. Suppose a bureaucrat, why he should think that he should not do corruption? Because he knows that impact of corruption on many poor, vulnerable and other people also could be disastrous. So this thinking of other will prevent him from doing corruption. Suppose for example, I am in charge of a road making project. I know that if I do the corruption, if the poor quality road is made, some accident will happen, some economical loss, some loss of life, some loss of some part of the body will happen to someone else, and that will be having very negative impact on their family, their lives, and also better good quality road should be made and corruption should not be done. So this feeling came only when I started thinking about other people in front of me. So these are the ways to maintain your emotional intelligence. Then you also have to be light-hearted. By light-hearted, what I say, you should not keep grudge against someone, because this life is very short, and with all these negative emotions, as I told you before, negative emotion hurt others, negative emotion will first hurt you, and maybe many a times, and especially most of the times, it hurts you more than others. So that's why you have to be light-hearted. You have not to take things personally, and you have to depersonalize the thing. And also you have to learn to handle very difficult people. Because many a times what happens, those people who are not well behaved, who do not go well with other people, they are difficult to handle. When generally people shy away. But if you see the emotionally intelligent people, they will go and they will talk to those kind of person, they will have good rapport with them, and this is how emotional intelligence can be developed in a kid also. So this was all how emotional intelligence can be developed. Now next we will be discussing what are the demerits or negative sides of emotional intelligence. Demerits of emotional intelligence. The demerits of emotional intelligence is, first demerit is manipulation of others. So suppose I am an emotionally intelligent person, then I will be able to regulate I will be aware of my emotions better. I will be able to regulate my emotions better. Then I will have empathy, means I will understand the emotions of others. And then I will be having good social skills, means I will communicate well, I will behave well and all. So all these things will make me likable and lovable by others. If my intentions are clean, I will use all these skills positively for me as well as the person with whom I am interacting. But if I have something negative motivation, if my intent is negative, then I will use all my skills to deceive people, to use people. And as you know, Immanuel Kant had said that human being is an end in itself, and it is one of the categorical imperative. We will discuss all these things in the Thinkers chapter. This is the categorical imperative, means you have to follow it at any cost. So we know that we cannot use human as end, but if our motivation is wrong, if we are emotionally intelligent and we want to deceive people, see all the people who ditch others, they will first take the person in confidence. Once they take the person in confidence, then only they will ditch. And the process of taking someone in confidence will require a lot of high emotional intelligence. So this is demerit of emotional intelligence, that it can be used to manipulate others. The other demerit of emotional intelligence is that Second demerit of emotional intelligence is that it could be exploited by leaders for their own gain. For their own gain. Leaders exploit the emotional intelligence for their own gain. There was a study made by a professor of Cambridge University. See, the name of professor is not very important here, that's why I am not giving it. It is there in the material, so in the material which I gave you. So this Cambridge University professor did a study wherein he found that if a leader gives an emotional speech, if a leader gives an emotional speech, people take that emotional speech without analyzing the merit or demerit of the speech, and they are carried away, they are persuaded to act in the way the leader wants them to act. So just see by example, he said that emotional speech by leader, it causes no rational inquiry by the audience, and leaders are taken for granted, and these audience are ready to do things what the leader is trying to persuade them for. If leader's intention is good, then it's good, but if leader's intention is bad, so in previous example also, manipulating others, the real game is the game of intention, how your intention is. If the intention is good, emotional intelligence can act positive. If the intention is bad, emotional intelligence can be used for negative purpose. So it's all the game of intention. See, for example, here I am telling you two examples I am giving you. Hitler, we started our lecture with Hitler and Gandhi only. Hitler, he was very emotionally intelligent guy. He will be delivering messages in emotional intelligence manner only. He will be appealing more to the emotion of the people. And the moment he appealed to the emotion of the people forgot what he is telling. People simply started acting in the way he wanted people to act. And people followed his commands, his instructions blindly. And see what this guy is doing. He caused Holocaust, he caused the expulsion and killing and persecution of Jews. He caused the people to fight World War II. So all these destructive things he brought with his emotional intelligence skill, which was misused by him. People started misusing his message, people started not rationally thinking over his message, and just they were falling in line with him. So he used the emotion very negatively. Another example which I started my lecture with is Gandhiji. See, Gandhiji, two contrasting things, two very contrasting and distinct things I am telling you. You know Chaura Chori incidents during the non-cooperation movement. Another incident, you take the slogan of do or die during the Quit India movement 1942. What happens in Chaura Chori? The central theme is violence. Gandhiji suspended the non-cooperation movement after Chaura Chori incidents, citing that he is a person with non-violence, he will not promote violence. But in Quit India movement, he told do or die. The moment you say die, some violence kind of thing is indirectly said. Or I am not going to say what was the intention of Gandhiji and all. I am limiting myself to the emotional intelligence topic only. So here he delivered a message, and the masses, the people, as this university study says, that they did not rationally inquire the speech of the leader and they followed it blindly. Here it happened the same. People followed it blindly, and a lot of violence happened in the aftermath of this speech, after this speech. So we can see the same guy, two different incidents, emotional intelligence at one place, it is ending the violence, at the other place it is creating violence. So it is all about intention, how it turns out, and also emotional intelligence is a double-edged sword. It is a double-edged sword. It is up to you. You use it constructively or you use it destructively. Now this topic is done. The last thing I will be discussing will be linkage of concepts of emotional intelligence with GS, other papers of GS, elsewhere where you can use the concept. Now at the very beginning I am telling you one very important thing. Ethics paper, its utility in civil services exam is immense, very much. Whole GS 4, 250 marks it covers. Then essay, which is 250 marker. One or the essay will be there in which a lot of concepts and ideas from ethics you can use in writing your essay. That's why in general you will say those scoring high in ethics score high in essay as well. Especially me also, in all my attempts I had very high marks in ethics as well as essay. So there is a huge synergy between these two papers. This good can improve your score here also. So in the essay paper also it is very important. In the paper 2 governance part, citizen charter, good governance, public service values, probity in governance and all these things, they will be very important for the governance part of the GS2. Apart from this, in the paper 1 social issues and Indian society part, GS1, here also it is very important because we learn socialization, how to behave with women and everything. And the most important thing is personality test, which is of 275 marks, which we call interview also. In interview also emotional intelligence will be tested very much. You will be sometimes given a tough situation, you will be having very light interview, very pressure interview, knowledge intensive interview, practical interview. The interview can be of different nature. So here your real emotional intelligence can be tested. You will be put to a tough situation in the first few minutes of the interview. Next few minutes of interview you are given some easy situation, you are allowed to go ahead very smoothly, but suddenly again they will test another side of your emotional makeup. So in personality test emotional intelligence is very important, and the whole ethics paper. And if at all not this exam process, then emotional intelligence and ethics, whole ethics paper is very important for your real life. If not exam, for the real life it is very important, because they teach you the right thing, they teach you the right way to do, the right way to think, behave and speak. So whole ethics paper is very important, and its linkage with, especially this emotional intelligence part, linkage with GS is immense. I am telling you few linkage. First thing is, we are talking about social capital. Social capital, it was also in the prelims 2019. What is social capital? 2019 only I remember. It was the question, what is social capital? Social capital is capital is like, it is not economic capital. Capital is something which is as a resource for you, which you can use to your advantage. Social capital is the network of people which you can use for your advantage. So if you have high emotional intelligence, you will be good making social skill, thinking from others perspective, controlling your emotions and all. So your networking skill, network of people will be very strong, and your social capital will be very high if you are emotionally intelligent person. Then another linkage of emotional intelligence concept is, let me discuss it somewhat more detail. Another linkage of emotional intelligence is in concept of artificial intelligence, AI. What is unique thing about human? Why we say the God made the best creature in the form of human? The unique thing in human is human is endowed with intelligence, but that is not the unique most thing. Human is endowed and given emotions. This is the very thing which makes human unique. Now compare with the machines. Man and machine we are comparing here. Now compare with machines. Machines can also be intelligent. See, machine also has intelligence. The calculator, the mobile, the computers, the supercomputers, now the quantum computers and all, they are way more than the human mind and human intelligence. They are much more intelligent than us. But are they more human than us? No. They are more intelligent than us, but they are not more human than us. And the reason being, human has emotion. Machines are intelligence. Machines are intelligence minus emotion. And this is what the difference is. You know the famous scientist Stephen Hawking. He is very much a person who is opposing the whole concept of artificial intelligence, and he is going to the extent of saying that artificial intelligence will create the destruction of humanity, because he told that what was the most unique thing about human was emotion, which was controlling his intelligence. But here we are creating machines which are way more intelligent than us, but they are not having emotion. So this intelligence minus emotion will take over intelligence plus emotion, the human being someday in the future. And this is a very serious warning by him. I am giving you just one example. Example is, you know, sometimes we are using face recognition technology at the airports. Face recognition technology at airports, we are using it. Even in India, in Hyderabad airport, we are using it. So what face recognition technology does, it is based on artificial intelligence. It is fed data, and based on the data, it will identify which person is the right identity, carrying the right identity and all, and which person is not carrying the right identity and all. This kind of thing they will do. What happened in USA, that many black people were not recognized at the airport by this face recognition technology. What was happening? In every society we know, see for example China, say for example USA, if in China some artificial intelligence technology is being developed for face recognition, it will be feeding a lot of data into the machine and the program, the machine learning and software and all, and the data about the face will be mostly based on Mongoloid race, because Chinese are majority Mongoloid people. In USA they will be based on Caucasoid features, and this Caucasoid feature is not able to capture the Negroid feature of the blacks in USA, and this is becoming a serious issue in already racially divided society of USA. So this is and just see how humiliating, how dehumanizing it is for some guy who by accident of birth happens to be a black. He is stopped at the airport because the machine did not recognize him. See how dehumanizing it is. So this machine has intelligence, but it doesn't have emotion. Suppose some other security personnel, which was the traditional way of verifying the people, if some security personnel is there, by comparing the mouth of the person in actual and in the photo, he can understand that okay, this change in face could have been over a period of time, but he is that person only. And this person can be saved from all the humiliation, all the harassment. So this is one negative aspect of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence will challenge the emotional intelligence in the days to come. Next, I will be discussing about social media. Social media, how social media is impacting the emotional intelligence. Social media is giving you a sense of relative deprivation. they are giving you a sense of relative deprivation. Suppose I am a guy, I am in Delhi, I am very happy in my life. Throughout the day I worked very hard, I had my office, I returned from the office, I watched the movie, I watched the series, then I took the dinner. After taking dinner I am on my bed and I am about to sleep, but I just think that before sleep let me go in my Facebook what all is happening. I open my Facebook, or say I open my Instagram, and a friend of me has kept a photo just now. He is at the Times Square, New York, or say he is at Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. He is at Burj Khalifa, UAE. I am sitting in Delhi, I got frustrated suddenly. Nothing wrong is happening with me. I am happy with my life, I am happy with my day, I am happy with my job, I am happy with my family, everything is good, but the moment I saw this photo, I became sad. See, this is how, because I am thinking that this guy who was scoring so less than me, who was much more less capable than me, how come he can stand in front of Times Square? How come he enjoy the Burj Khalifa and I am not enjoying that way? So this is relative deprivation. You are made to feel relatively deprived even when you are not actually deprived. So this is what social media is doing. Another thing social media is doing is negative sentiments are being stoked by the vested interest to serve their purpose using the social media. Negative emotions are stoked up by vested interest. So what is this negative emotion? We have seen many instances of rumors like child lifting, cow vigilantism, many rumors about riots, many rumors about communal tensions. These all led to mob lynching, which became very serious issue 3 years back in India. Many riots happen based on the negative sentiments stoked by the social media, by the vested interest, communal tensions, as it happened during the visit of Donald Trump in Delhi 1-2 years back. So all these things, if you see, social media is being used to stoke negative emotion, and they kill your positive emotion element. Your negative emotion takes over your rationality, and you act in an irrational manner, and you go to the extent of even killing, beating, hitting people. So this is how social media is also negatively using the emotional intelligence. Then we are seeing the nuclear family, urban way of living. In nuclear family, urban way of living, it's a small kid or adult, everyone, they are interacting to very limited person, and they are interacting in a very formal setup, and with all this their emotional intelligence is consistently coming down. Suppose there is a joint family, a child will be playing with his parents, his siblings. Apart from the parents, he will be playing with the grandparents, his cousins, his neighbors and all. But now those days are gone. Even in the joint family and rural areas, they too are contrasting things. Here there is very much of individualism. Here they have kind of community living. Here interaction is very formal, interaction is very informal. They live individually, they live in a group. So here emotional intelligence will be coming down, and here emotional intelligence will be healthy. So you see the cases of anonymity, depression, anxiety, frustration so much in all the urban and nuclear family. But these families are to some extent better on this emotional aspect. Then another correlation of emotional intelligence is with new technology based mode of communication. In this, what is happening? Earlier we are communicating in person. We are talking with friends, with the neighbors, with the relatives, with the family members, with the peers, with the elders, with the youngers, everyone. We are exchanging our facial expression, body language, our joy, happiness, sadness, everything. But now there is so much of the use of technology for communication that people do not even want to talk. They just want you to drop a message. And just now I had discussed that wishing someone on WhatsApp or SMS on his birthday and wishing someone on a physical call will make a lot of difference in your interpersonal relationship. So all these new modes of technology are killing the emotional intelligence. With them, the emotional intelligence is coming down. We are not actually smiling, but our emoji is smiling. We are not actually crying, we are not actually feeling joy. All joy, emotion, cry, pessimism, anxiety, our emoji is facing now. Our smiley is facing now. So all these emojis are smiling are killing the facial expression, the non-verbal communication, verbal communication, the body language, all these things, and finally bringing our emotional intelligence down. Because you are not interacting with the other person, so how you will feel the way others are feeling, how you will regulate your emotions, your social skills are not getting developed, so obviously emotional intelligence will be coming down. So these are the main things where the emotional intelligence can be important for the part of your GS syllabus. So with this, emotional intelligence topic is done. Now next video I will upload on corporate governance. Thank you.